Nicholas Jackson, Mauricio Pochettino getting him for 30 million. It might work out well. Not many people would have known of Nicholas Jackson. When you think of sort of the number 9s that are floating around world football, not many people would have thought Nicholas Jackson. But, I mean, look, this is Mauricio Pochettino getting the players that he wants in the club, and looks like with Kai Havertz and Mason Mount getting the players he don't want in the club out.
Yeah, I think there's something truthful in that. And look, when Chelsea have made these slightly less glamorous signings, you know, these for this sort of amount, they've had a tendency to work. Like, I like, for example, Noni Madueke. I like him. I think he's going to be a good player for us, and the pressure isn't on him.
Yeah.
Benoit Badiashile, out of the most recent crop that have landed at Chelsea since Todd Bowley's taken over, I would say that Badiashile is probably the jewel in the crown. He's the player that most people wouldn't have heard of. He's a player that I think would have probably arrived with the least amount of fanfare and maybe been the most underwhelming. But in terms of his performances, he's been far better than Kalidou Koulibaly. He's been far better than Raheem Sterling. He's been far better than Mykhailo. So this level of transfer, I think, is quite an interesting one for Chelsea. And fingers crossed it works out. I don't think this is the answer. This isn't the end of Chelsea's transfer.
No, it's going to be a busy window.
And equally, I do think that what Chelsea need, particularly up front, you know, it's so underwhelming up there, isn't it? You've got Aubameyang, you've got Lukaku, you've got Kai Havertz. Like, between them, they've got a dozen goals between them.
Do you think Brozier gets a run? Really, he gets sent out on loan again, or do you think he gets some?
Look, do you know, it's difficult for me to answer this one, Ade, because you know when there's young players, like he's local. You know, he's from Slough, which is the equivalent of West London in like the modern definition of London. He is pretty local to Chelsea. I really like him. I'd love him to do well, but realistically, for Chelsea to be the club that we want to be, right? When you think about what Chelsea's aspirations are, Chelsea as a club, I don't think we're anywhere near this, but as a club, we want to win the Premier League. I don't think you do that with Armando Broja being your main man. Can he help? Can he play
Squad
maybe?
Member?
Yeah, certainly. And I think players like that are very important. Like, you know, if you cast your mind back to, say, big Chelsea teams in the past, teams that have won the league, everybody will remember a Chelsea team that won the league because Diego Costa was so ruthless in front of goal. But, you know, when he went off the boil, when he perhaps wasn't playing as well as he could, Loic Remy played a massive part in that title win. Having Loic Remy around to just ease the burden of the main striker was a huge benefit to Chelsea. That is the kind of role that I would like Armando Broja to play. But I don't think he can be the main man. You know, let's pretend that Romelu Lukaku wasn't the player that he is. Let's pretend he was the player that Chelsea thought they were signing. If Romelu Lukaku was the kind of player that's going to score, 25 goals a season, I think Loic Remy would be... I think Armando Broja would be a great option for Mauricio Pochettino. But I don't think that he can be the main man. I don't think that he can be Chelsea's number 9 going into a new season.
Yeah, good news for Tottenham there. You heard Alex Crook say that they are going to make Kulusevski's loan deal a permanent one. 30 million seems, I don't often say this on this channel, Rory says it a lot, a bargain, I think, for Kulusevski. I think Spurs fans really like him. Maybe not the best of seasons last year, but I think he's proved enough that he's a good player. Yeah. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, I think he's going to give you good minutes.
Yeah, he's a very good player for Tottenham.
Yeah, very good player.
No two ways about it. He's a very good player. And also, I think you need to be careful judging any Tottenham player off the back of the performances from last season.
Yeah. Like, you're right. Everyone was bad apart from Kane.
It's similar to Chelsea. You know, when people go, well, maybe Mason Mount didn't have a particularly good season. Well, if you look at the state of Chelsea Football Club last season, I think it's very harsh to judge any player off the back of that season that we had. And I think it's a similar situation for Tottenham. Yeah.
We are hearing that David Raya, you probably have seen the tweets, he's come out and said pretty much that he wants to go to a title-winning side or at least a team that's winning or battling for trophies. Why are you smirking as I say this?
Well, because I know where he's linked.
He's been linked with Spurs.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense to the words that you just used.
They do get to semi-finals and finals.
No, but you said win tournaments, didn't you?
Yeah, I did say that, yeah.
Like, if David Raya is to be believed, then his aspiration is to win silverware. His aspiration is to win a Premier League title. I mean, you can't go to Tottenham, can you?
No.
Like, Tottenham are a club that have won 2 League Cups since 1991, and you're talking about planting your flag in like the history of the Premier League. You are going to become a title winner at Tottenham. How on earth do you think you're going to manage that? Far better Tottenham teams than this haven't won the league.
Well, but let's be honest though, they'll compete far better than what Brentford will. So I think it's a step up the ladder for him.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true.
Spurs will get closer to winning competitions than Brentford.
I don't think that's a given. Tottenham are a far bigger club, and you can kind of look at the history of Tottenham. Tottenham have obviously won a lot more than Brentford, but there's no way that you can now suggest that Tottenham are in a better place to win silverware than Brentford. I don't think either of them are going to win silverware. But I don't think that there's this chasm between Tottenham and Brentford. I think they're very similar clubs at the moment. One just happens to have a world-class forward in in Harry Kane.
Yeah, and one doesn't have a forward. Obviously, the situation with Ivan Toney. Gündoğan released by Man City. It almost doesn't read right, that does. But it's true. His contract's up. He has been released. They can still make him a deal. Do you think they're going to offer him something? I mean, they will offer it. Do you think he'll accept it?
I don't think that City, even the riches of City, even the brilliance of City, even the infinite wisdom of Guardiola, can you realistically let a player as experienced, as committed, as important as Ilkay Gündoğan leave for free? That just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not like he had a bit part this season. He was at the very epicenter of everything good that they did. Think about the previous season. He literally won them the league.
I'm not having that. Those things. I always think I think he's a fantastic player, but I also think he turns up for 2 months of a season.
That's so unjust.
Turns up for 2 months. No, by the way, I think he's a great player, but I do think he's turns up for 2 months of the season because they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Kevin De Bruyne, they've got Foden and Grealish, so he doesn't have to carry all the weight of the team. You always say that, he won them the league and he turns up for 2 months of the season.
No, that's not true. Also, you refer to him as great. Can you be great if you only play 2 months a season? And I don't think it's true that he only played 2 months. I think he's truly brilliant, and he's also excellent when it's most necessary. He's not the kind of bloke that scores the fifth in a 5-0 win. He's the type of bloke that scores when you desperately need him to. He is the definition of clutch. He is the big game player, the big moment, and I think they're wildly wrong here to let him go.
Yeah.
For free as well. He's a great player.